Have you ever wondered why some women seem to possess an invisible shield that prevents others' negativity from destabilizing them or changing their mood? While many people react aggressively or feel emotionally crushed by rude behavior, there is a select group that maintains an unwavering and sovereign calm. Carl Jung explained that this phenomenon is not a result of coldness, but of an advanced stage of spiritual maturity, where the self becomes the sole judge of its own worth. When a woman reaches this level of awareness, she understands that the other person's lack of respect is, in fact, a confession of an unresolved shadow within the person who practices it. If you want to stop absorbing the weight of others' frustrations and take full control of your inner peace, this knowledge is the key. Let's explore how depth psychology reveals the secrets of women who have transformed their sensitivity into a silent and truly immeasurable strength. A spiritually evolved woman doesn't fight disrespect with the same weapons as the person who hurt her, because she knows that silence is her most elegant tool. Jung emphasized that our reaction to others' behavior says much more about our integrity than about the wrong committed against us at that moment. By not reacting impulsively, you take away the power of the person who tried to shake you, maintaining your vibration at a frequency of clarity and absolute self-respect today. She understands that disrespect is an invitation to chaos, and her spiritual evolution prevents her from accepting invitations that don't bring growth or true peace. This stance of non-engagement in toxic dynamics is what ensures that her vital energy is preserved for her own reconstruction and constant happiness. Every time you choose not to descend to the level of disrespect, you reaffirm your sovereignty and your liberation from patterns of control that previously held you captive. Dealing with disrespect requires keen discernment, which Jung called the conscious perception of others' projections that attempt to diminish or negatively mark us. The evolved woman realizes that when someone tries to devalue her, that person is merely trying to project their own feelings of inadequacy or inner emptiness onto an external target. By identifying this mechanism, the impact of disrespect disappears, giving way to a detached compassion that prevents the emotional wound from opening or bleeding. She doesn't spend hours trying to convince others of her worth, because her self-validation is a solid foundation that doesn't depend on collective opinions or applause. This emotional independence is what makes her untouchable, because her inner peace is a sacred territory where only respect and truth are allowed to dwell. Her silent strength communicates that she knows her essence, and no harsh words have the power to alter this divine and very potent reality. Reconstructing a woman's identity after traumatic experiences necessarily involves establishing boundaries that are both gentle in form and firm in content. Jung taught that individuation is the process of becoming who we truly are, and this includes the courage to not allow anyone to invade our sacred space. For a woman of high vibration, disrespect is a clear sign that the other person lacks the maturity necessary to share her intimacy. She withdraws elegantly, without needing lengthy explanations or justifications, to protect her soul from new situations that seek to drain her inner light. This conscious distancing is not an act of pride, but a demonstration of maturity and self-love that serves as an example to everyone around her. By honoring her own boundaries, she teaches the world how she should be treated, creating a protective field that attracts only what is pure. At this stage of awareness, the woman understands that her response to disrespect defines the course of her next life cycle and evolution. She uses the experience as a mirror to assess her own resilience, transforming what would be pain into a stepping stone to even greater and deeper wisdom. Carl Jung believed that the greatest wounds of the soul are also the seeds of our greatest virtues, provided we know how to integrate them with complete clarity and self-respect. You don't need to carry the burden of others' unkindness as if it belonged to you or defined your path of light and healing. Liberation happens when you realize that you are the only authority capable of allowing or denying negative feelings access to your sacred heart. Feel the vibration of this new freedom, knowing that each choice in favor of your peace is a step towards your spiritual and total rebirth. Recognizing that your inner peace is your most valuable treasure requires a courage that only truly awakened women possess amidst the noise of a confusing world. If you feel these words are bringing the necessary clarity to your moment of transformation and healing, be sure to follow our journey of light. Subscribe to the channel now to strengthen your commitment to your own reconstruction and the maturation that your soul so desires and deserves to experience. By joining this community of conscious women, you ensure that your journey of liberation will be supported by teachings that value your silent strength and sovereignty. Your subscription is the first step in creating an environment of self-respect where your light can shine brightly without the shackles of old control patterns. We will continue exploring how depth psychology can be the map to your new life of total peace, emotional elegance, and clarity of sacred purpose. A spiritually evolved woman uses the disrespect of others as a test of her own ability to remain whole in the face of the shadows of the external world. Carl Jung described encountering another's shadow as a golden opportunity to strengthen our inner light and our faith in our essence. She doesn't feel personally attacked because she understands that disrespect is a symptom of that person's disconnection from their own soul and from divine truth. Instead of being hurt, she observes the situation with the curiosity of a soul researcher, analyzing which archetypes are at play in that moment of conflict. This emotional distance allows her to make wise decisions about who should remain in her inner circle and who should be kept at a safe distance. Her security doesn't come from the absence of challenges, but from the certainty that she possesses the inner tools to transmute any negativity into pure awareness and maturity. The secret to this posture lies in the constant practice of self-respect, which acts as a vaccine against external attempts at emotional manipulation or disguised control. When you know who you are and how much it costs to heal your past wounds, you don't allow small gestures to alter your frequency of peace and liberation. The Jungian woman sees disrespect as a character flaw in the other person, not a deficiency in her own worth or in her path of reconstruction. She walks with the elegance of someone who has crossed deserts and knows that no sandstorm can extinguish the flame of her inner and spiritual truth. By dealing with disrespect in this way, she becomes a beacon for other women who are still struggling to break free from draining and toxic relationships. Her presence communicates that peace is possible and that dignity is the natural garment of a soul that has found itself and fully forgiven itself. The mental clarity that arises from spiritual evolution allows a woman to identify disrespect even before it manifests in harsh words or actions. She senses the energy of the environment and intentions, acting preventively to protect herself without needing aggressive confrontations or defenses that are detrimental to her health. Jung explained that feminine intuition is a sacred compass that guides us away from situations that seek to undermine our psychic structure and our self-worth. She trusts her instincts, withdrawing from spaces that do not honor her path of healing and her search for deep and loving awareness today. This selectivity is what ensures that her life is a well-cared-for garden where only seeds of respect and harmony are allowed to flourish. She does not seek collective approval because she understands that the quality of her own company is the true measure of her happiness and spiritual success. Dealing with disrespect in an evolved way also means forgiving the other person's limitations, understanding that each person offers only what they possess within themselves, wounded. This forgiveness is not an invitation for the person to return, but rather an act of personal liberation that prevents resentment from taking root in her mind. The conscious woman releases the cords of the past and accumulated grudges, allowing her heart to remain light to receive the blessings of the new cycle that begins. She understands that disrespect is a natural cycle closure, an indication that the relationship no longer has the necessary frequency for her current growth. By accepting this fact with serenity, she opens space for true and respectful connections to manifest in her new journey of light and peace. Her reconstruction is guided by hope, knowing that the universe always provides the best for those who have the courage to honor their own divine soul. Spiritual maturity teaches that disrespect is never about you, but rather about the other person's inability to deal with their own emotions and shadows. Jung emphasized that what people project outward is what they cannot bear within themselves in their moments of solitude. When you understand this truth, the weight of the offense disappears, and you become immune to others' attempts to pressure or hurt your sacred self-esteem. An evolved woman observes disrespect with the same calmness with which she observes a passing rain. She knows that the sky of her consciousness remains blue and clear. This clarity is what allows her to keep her self-respect intact, even when the world around her seems to act with a lack of empathy. She has become the guardian of her own narrative, not allowing anyone to write chapters of doubt or pain in her story of liberation. In this phase of reconstruction, you discover that your silent strength is far more effective than any outcry of indignation or passionate and aggressive defense. The woman who deals with disrespect in a Jungian way knows that real power lies in controlling her own reactions and maintaining peace. She uses silence not as a weakness, but as a clear boundary that communicates that she does not accept participating in dynamics based on emotional manipulation. This silence is elegant and sovereign, forcing the other person to confront their own behavior without having anywhere to project their anger or fleeting frustration. By not reacting, you interrupt the cycle of negativity, preventing the toxic experience from feeding on your vital energy and precious time. Your presence becomes an invitation to awareness for those who are ready, and an insurmountable barrier for those who seek only to cause useless disruption. Disrespect often arises when you begin to set boundaries and prioritize your own healing over external and selfish demands. People who benefited from your past lack of clarity may react disrespectfully when they realize they can no longer control or emotionally manipulate you. The evolved woman understands that this reaction is a clear sign that she is on the right path to individuation and spiritual awakening. She doesn't feel guilty about her new stance because she knows that her self-worth is the foundation upon which her life is now being rebuilt. The disrespect of others then becomes a confirmation of her strength and courage to be authentic and true to her deepest essence. She celebrates each closing of a cycle that distances her from draining relationships, seeing in it a sacred opportunity for rebirth and expansion of her light. Jung emphasized that integrating our own shadow gives us the necessary discernment to not be frightened by the shadows of others in our social relationships. When you know your own wounds and have treated them with love and clarity, you are no longer shaken by the wounds that others try to inflict on you. Disrespect is merely someone else's wound trying to find an echo in you. But if your inner self is at peace, there is no possible resonance. You deal with disrespect by offering the truth of your conscious presence, which acts as a spiritual disinfectant in toxic environments and interactions. This posture of absolute integrity is what Jung would describe as the ultimate goal of human maturation and the search for wholeness and healing. You become living proof that it is possible to live in the world without being contaminated by the shadows that still try to govern modern human relationships. The peace emanating from a woman who has learned to deal with disrespect in an evolved way is contagious and transformative for everyone around her today. She doesn't need harsh words to be respected because her self-respect is palpable and emanates from every gesture, look, and choice she makes. Her reconstruction culminates in a state of mind where gratitude and clarity are the constant guides on her path of light and faith. She looks at the challenges of the past with respect, understanding that each situation of disrespect served to forge the sword of her unwavering conscience. Now she walks with the lightness of someone who knows she is protected by universal wisdom and her own commitment to truth and peace. Her journey is a hymn to female liberation, showing that maturity is the only real path to a life of total meaning and eternal harmony. Dealing with disrespect consciously also means learning the art of withdrawing without looking back and without carrying the burden of guilt. Carl Jung saw in the act of distancing oneself from what no longer serves as a sacred movement of the psyche in search of necessary protection and self-preservation. A spiritually evolved woman does not negotiate her dignity in exchange for companionship or a false sense of emotional and fleeting security. She understands that disrespect is the termination of an energetic contract that no longer has the terms of respect and self-love required today. When closing a door, she does not do so aggressively, but with the clarity of someone who knows she deserves greener pastures and calmer waters. This detachment is what allows her reconstruction to be solid, based on the truth of her heart and not on needy needs or deep fears. Disrespect often acts as a natural filter that the universe uses to distance you from those who cannot keep up with your new vibrational level. As you mature and seek awareness, your light becomes an uncomfortable mirror for those who still prefer to live in the shadows of manipulation. Jung explained that individual growth generates a natural separation from the collective that does not wish to evolve, or that feels threatened by the constant change of others. The evolved woman accepts this process with serenity, understanding that her healing journey requires her to surround herself with people who speak the language of self-respect. She does not lament the departure of those who disrespected her, but is grateful for the clarity that situation brought to her life and her new plans. Her silent strength lies in accepting that each cycle has its time and that the new always brings hope for much deeper connections. Deep psychology teaches us that disrespect is an attempt by the disrespecter to recover a sense of power they feel they have lost internally. When a woman maintains her centered posture in the face of rude behavior, she demonstrates that her true power is internal and does not depend on dominating anyone. This spiritual authority disarms the aggressor as it finds no fertile ground in reactivity or fear to take root and grow in their mind. She deals with disrespect by acting like a firm rock where waves of negativity crash and dissolve without leaving any mark. This resilience is the fruit of years of rebuilding and an unwavering commitment to the clarity and truth of her own divine being. By not allowing disrespect to shake her, she reaffirms her liberation from all patterns of control that once tried to silence her voice and her light. Jung emphasized that an evolved woman is one who has learned to listen to her own inner voice above any disrespectful and cruel external noise or criticism. In the face of disrespect, she turns to her inner sanctuary, where the truth about who she is remains intact and protected against the illusions of the world. This spiritual refuge sustains her in difficult times, allowing her to maintain her emotional elegance and self-respect even under intense pressure. She knows that the harsh words of others are merely the noise of confused minds and do not have the power to define her essence or her peace. This unwavering certainty is what attracts new opportunities and relationships to her life that vibrate in the same frequency of respect and self-love. Her reconstruction is an outside-in process. where external peace is a direct reflection of the inner harmony she has courageously achieved. By confronting disrespect with spiritual maturity, you are performing an act of healing for yourself and for the generations of women who came before. Many of our ancestors did not have the chance to set boundaries or demand the respect they deserved in their life journeys and experiences of pain. When you choose clarity and self-respect, you are breaking ancestral chains of devaluation and emotional manipulation that have been inherited for a long time. Your evolution is a gift to the universe, as each woman who awakens helps to raise collective awareness of the sacred value of the feminine. The reconstruction of your life is a work of art that inspires other women to seek their own liberation and their own spiritual and emotional awakening. Continue your journey with the dignity of one who knows she is loved by the Creator and that her light is needed to illuminate the path of peace. A spiritually evolved woman understands that disrespect is often a symptom of a lack of internal boundaries she herself possessed in the past. Jung taught that we attract experiences that force us to look at our wounds and strengthen the parts of our psyche that are still immature. When encountering disrespect today, she uses it as a diagnostic tool to check if her boundaries of self-respect are clear and if her self-worth is consolidated. She is grateful for the lesson without needing to accept the person's presence in her life, transforming the challenge into a practical exercise of awareness and clarity. This posture removes the drama from the situation, allowing healing to occur rapidly and maturation to become a solid foundation for the future. Her reconstruction is no longer reactive, but a conscious action of someone who knows exactly which energies are allowed to enter her field of light. Dealing with disrespect in a Jungian way requires you to become the mother and protector of your inner child, welcoming it with love and boundaries. When someone tries to devalue you, your spiritual task is to reaffirm to yourself the truths you have conquered on your journey of reconstruction and total liberation. You do not allow the external voice of disrespect to become the internal voice of self-criticism or doubt about your own worth and ability. This emotional self-sufficiency is what Jung would describe as the apex of individuation, where you are your own center of gravity and your own compass. Disrespect then becomes insignificant, because your inner light is so bright that the shadows of others cannot create any kind of lasting darkness. You walk with the security of someone who has found their way home within themselves and no longer intends to get lost because of anyone. Spiritual evolution brings with it a language of silence that is far more eloquent than any argument against disrespect or lack of empathy. The evolved woman doesn't engage in exhausting debates to prove her point or demand that others change their way of acting or thinking. She knows that respect is not something to be asked for, but something to be commanded through one's own posture and the energy of self-respect. Her silence communicates that she is not available for draining dynamics and that her peace is a non-negotiable priority in all her current relationships. This maturity avoids wasting vital energy in useless struggles against minds that have not yet awakened to consciousness and love. Her reconstruction flows with elegance as she carefully selects where to invest her time and attention, always prioritizing what brings light and harmony. Jung observed that disrespect is often a trap of the ego to keep us trapped in cycles of victimhood and resentment that hinder our growth. The spiritually evolved woman avoids this trap by not identifying with the role of victim in the situation or in the disrespectful choices of the other. She sees what happened as a neutral event in human life, a necessary cycle closure so that her soul can fly to new territories of peace. This disidentification is what allows her to heal quickly and for her emotional reconstruction not to be interrupted by bitter and lasting resentments. She keeps her vision focused on hope and the new possibilities that arise when we leave behind what does not honor us and what hurts us. Her journey is marked by constant transformation, where each stone of disrespect is used to build the castle of her own spiritual sovereignty. Finally, dealing with disrespect in an evolved way means understanding that you possess the power to remove the meaning from any offense committed against you. Jung emphasized that nothing has power over us unless we give it our attention and our emotional and spiritual credit. By ignoring the disrespect and maintaining your focus on your own journey of healing and awareness, you neutralize the other person's negative intention. You become an unwavering channel of light, whose peace is sustained by direct connection with the self and with the universal wisdom that governs life. Your reconstruction culminates in a state of mind where self-respect is the supreme law and emotional elegance is your signature in the world. You are a free woman, whose brilliance is the result of your courage to be true to yourself in all moments of challenge. Jung understood that spiritual maturity requires a woman to recognize her own inner authority to define what is acceptable in her relationships and in her life. Disrespect from others is often an attempt to test this authority and to see if you are still vulnerable to the pressures of judgment or fear. When you respond with clarity and unwavering calm, you are reaffirming that control of your life belongs only to you and the divine. This posture of sovereignty is what ensures that your reconstruction is definitive and that the rebirth of your soul is complete and radiant today. Disrespect then becomes a distant noise that cannot penetrate the sanctuary of your mind, where truth reigns absolute and serene. You have discovered that your peace is the non-negotiable boundary that defines who enters and who remains on your new journey of light. Disrespect often carries a burden of emotional manipulation that seeks to make you feel inadequate or responsible for the failures and pain of others. A spiritually evolved woman identifies this maneuver instantly, refusing to carry burdens that were not created by her or by her conscious and respectful choices. She deals with disrespect by returning responsibility to its original owner, remaining light and focused on her own path of healing and liberation. Jung explained that individuation requires us to separate ourselves from the neurotic demands of the collective, assuming responsibility only for our own consciousness and spiritual evolution. This clarity is what allows her to live with emotional elegance, without becoming entangled in dramas that only seek to drain her strength and peace. Her reconstruction is guided by self-respect, ensuring that her energy is invested only in what is constructive and brings real joy. Disrespect teaches the evolved woman to value silence as a space for discernment and protection against the invasions of another's wounded ego. Jung saw in the ability to silence external noise one of the clearest signs of an integrated psyche in harmony with the soul's purposes. When you refuse to participate in sterile discussions or disrespectful exchanges, you are honoring the sacredness of your time and your awakened spirit. This silence is not the absence of voice, but rather the presence of an authority that does not need shouting to establish its value in the world. The other's disrespect then finds a void where there was previously reactivity, forcing the negativity to return to its original source without causing upheaval. Its reconstruction flows with an impressive smoothness because its inner peace has become a force field that nothing external can break down or harm. Jung emphasized that the woman who has dealt with disrespect in an evolved way is the one who has transformed the experience into a process of profound spiritual maturation. She doesn't look back with bitterness, but with the gratitude of someone who understands that disrespect was the teacher who taught her to love herself unconditionally. Each stressful situation served to polish the diamond of her consciousness, revealing facets of strength and clarity that she didn't know in her past life. Now she walks with the confidence of someone who possesses the map of her own soul and does not fear the labyrinths of negative human projections. Her reconstruction is a silent success, manifested in the peace of her gaze and the compassionate firmness of her words and her new choices. She has become the living manifestation of Jungian wisdom, proving that healing is a possible destiny for all who seek the truth. Dealing with disrespect consciously also involves recognizing that your evolution may distance you from people who are still trapped in patterns of devaluation. The evolved woman accepts this loss with the serenity of someone who understands that the universe is simply opening space for higher and more respectful connections. She doesn't try to hold on to what no longer serves her, allowing cycles to end naturally and without useless and painful resistance. Her reconstruction is a process of constant refinement, where only what is gold remains and what is lead is left behind on life's road. She knows that her self-worth is non-negotiable and that her journey of light deserves to be shared only with those who have eyes to see it. Her faith in life is what propels her towards a future of total liberation, where respect is the foundation of all her future endeavors. Jung explained that a woman who has reached the pinnacle of spiritual evolution deals with disrespect as a sign that her journey has leveled up. The disrespect of others is no longer seen as an obstacle, but as a reminder that she no longer belongs in certain environments or emotional dynamics. She uses this clarity to redirect her focus and vital energy to projects and people who vibrate at the same frequency of peace and self-respect. This shift in perspective is what Jung called a qualitative leap in consciousness, where we cease to be victims and become sovereign observers of reality. Her reconstruction gains new speed as she no longer wastes time trying to fix what is irremediably toxic or draining to her divine heart. She walks with the lightness of one who knows that the universe conspires in favor of her integrity and her continuous spiritual rebirth. The lack of respect from others serves as a practical exercise in detaching oneself from the social image that was once so important and burdensome for the wounded female psyche. The spiritually evolved woman no longer worries about being nice or good at the expense of her own peace and personal and spiritual dignity. She deals with disrespect by remaining true to her essence, without needing masks to please those who lack the capacity to respect her. This detachment from external approval is what Jung described as the final liberation of the ego, allowing the self to govern life with wisdom. The lack of respect from others then becomes an opportunity to reaffirm her authenticity and her courage to be who she was truly born to be in the world. Her reconstruction is marked by absolute truth, creating a life where transparency and self-respect are the unshakable pillars of her new existence. Dealing with disrespect in a Jungian way also involves recognizing that your calm response is the greatest mirror reflecting the other person's shadow. When you don't react in kind, you force the disrespectful person to see their own emotional ugliness without the distortions of a fight or mutual conflict. This act of integrity is a form of healing for the environment, even if the other person is not aware of what is happening at the moment. You maintain your self-worth intact, acting from a center of clarity that communicates spiritual authority and profound, elegant emotional maturity. Disrespect finds a vacuum within you, losing its impact and returning to the one who emitted it with the same original negative intensity. Your reconstruction culminates in an invulnerable state of mind, where your peace is protected by the very silent strength of your awakened and healed soul. Jung emphasized that the evolved woman is one who has transformed the pain of disrespect into an infallible compass for identifying true and respectful soul connections. She does not fear the closing of cycles that begin with disrespect, for she knows that each ending is the prelude to a brighter rebirth. She uses her intuition to filter who enters her life, always prioritizing self-respect and harmony as fundamental criteria for any effective relationship. Her healing journey has given her the necessary discernment not to get lost in empty promises or behaviors that seek to silence her inner light. Her reconstruction is a process of conscious selection, where she chooses only what nourishes her peace and what contributes to her constant spiritual evolution. She walks with the dignity of one who knows that the best of life is reserved for those who have the courage to accept nothing less. Finally, dealing with disrespect in an evolved way means celebrating your ability to remain unaffected by the darkness that still dwells in the hearts of others. You have discovered that your light is innate, and that no disrespectful attitude has the power to extinguish the flame of your divine consciousness and your faith. Your reconstruction is the testament of a woman who has traversed the shadows and emerged with a clarity that illuminates the path of others seeking healing. Disrespect has become merely a dissonant note in a symphony of peace that you now conduct with complete sovereignty and emotional maturity. You live with the elegance of someone who has already found themselves and doesn't need to prove anything to anyone who lacks the eyes to see your true worth. Your journey of liberation is complete, and your new life is a hymn to self-respect, awareness, and eternal harmony with the self. A spiritually evolved woman understands that disrespect is a sign that she must intensify her inner dialogue and her connection with universal and divine wisdom. Jung explained that external crises are always invitations to a deeper dive into our own psyche, seeking the strength that the ego cannot provide. Upon encountering disrespect, she retreats into her fertile silence, where she regains clarity about her purposes and her inalienable self-worth. This introspective movement ensures that her reconstruction is solid, and that her peace is not shaken by fleeting or harsh external circumstances. She uses the experience to reaffirm her commitment to light and truth, transforming disrespect into a catalyst for an even brighter rebirth. Her silent strength is fueled by the certainty that she is loved by the Creator and protected by her own spiritual and emotional integrity. Dealing with disrespect in a Jungian way also involves using creativity to redefine your personal narrative and your role in the world you live in. The evolved woman does not allow herself to be defined by how she was treated in the past or by those who tried to diminish her light through emotional manipulation. She uses her consciousness to paint a new reality, where self-respect and emotional elegance are the main traits of her renewed face. Her reconstruction is an act of sacred art, where each situation of disrespect is transformed into a lesson of wisdom and profound spiritual maturity. She does not seek revenge because she understands that her own happiness and success are the best answers to those who once tried to silence her voice and peace. Her journey is marked by constant transformation, where the lead of pain is transmuted into the gold of consciousness and infinite, pure self-love. Disrespect from others is seen by the evolved woman as proof that she no longer resonates with low vibrations of control, aggression, or lack of empathy. Jung believed that the individuation process makes us more sensitive to the energies that surround us, allowing us to quickly identify what does not honor our soul. She accepts the closing of cycles with the peace of someone who understands that the universe is simply clearing the path for new and respectful soul connections. Her reconstruction requires her to be faithful to her new values, even if it means walking alone at times during her journey of liberation. She knows that the quality of her own company is invaluable, and that her solitude is fertile ground for new beginnings and spiritual awakenings. Her strength lies in her ability to be authentic at all times, keeping her vibration in harmony with clarity and innate truth. Jung emphasized that dealing with disrespect in an evolved way is the greatest proof that a woman has achieved mastery over her own projections and fears. She no longer sees the other as an executioner, but as a wounded human being who has not yet found the path to light and self-respect both for herself and others. This compassionate yet firm vision allows her to set boundaries without hatred, preserving her emotional and mental health against any lasting or heavy negative shock. Her reconstruction culminates in a life of total transparency and peace, where truth is the constant guide of all her actions and words. She has become the living manifestation of profound healing, proving that maturity is the only real bridge to an existence full of meaning and light. Her journey is an example of hope for all women seeking their own reconstruction and their total spiritual and emotional awakening. Finally, the spiritually evolved woman deals with disrespect by celebrating the freedom she has gained by no longer depending on the validation of others to feel complete. You have discovered that your value is intrinsic and that your dignity is a sacred garment that no one has the power to remove from your divine soul. Your reconstruction is a hymn to self-respect and clarity, showing that inner peace is the greatest success a human being can achieve on earth. The disrespect of others becomes just a forgotten note in a symphony of harmony that you now conduct with total mastery and spiritual maturity. You live with the elegance of one who has already crossed the shadows and now permanently dwells in the light of your own consciousness and your divine love. Your journey of liberation is eternal, and your new life is a reflection of your courage to be true to yourself and to the self today. Rebuilding your identity as a spiritually evolved woman is the greatest act of love you can perform for yourself and for the world today. Jung taught that becoming who we truly are is the ultimate goal of existence, and you walk this path with courage, clarity, and unwavering self-respect today. Dealing with disrespect through your silent strength is proof that your soul has awakened and that you are no longer a prisoner of shadows. By honoring your essence and maintaining your peace, you become an inspiration to all women seeking their own healing and full emotional liberation. Feel the pride of having come this far, transforming each pain into a tool for maturation and constant, radiant spiritual rebirth in your soul. This is your time to shine with all the strength you have gained, living a life of total clarity, elegance, and deep, lasting peace. If this content has brought new meaning to your journey and helped you deal with disrespect in a sovereign and peaceful way, please subscribe. Your participation in this community is fundamental so that we can continue spreading messages of healing, awareness, and reconstruction to more women seeking their total liberation. By subscribing to the channel, you strengthen your decision to live in total self-respect, surrounded by teachings that value your light and your innate silent strength. We are together in this process of spiritual awakening, celebrating each small victory on our path towards individuation, harmony, and absolute inner peace. Click the subscribe button and activate notifications so you don't miss any step of this journey of total transformation, reconstruction, and profound clarity about your soul. Your presence here is a light that helps us illuminate the path of many others who are still seeking their rebirth and true self-respect. The spiritual meaning of dealing with disrespect through soul evolution lies in your ability to be a channel of peace in disharmonious environments. When you maintain a high vibration, you not only protect yourself, but also help raise the consciousness of all who cross your path of light. Carl Jung's path shows us that personality integration is the only way to true happiness and eternal harmony with the divine self. Its reconstruction is the process of removing layers of fear to reveal the jewel of self-respect that has always resided in your awakened and healed heart. Feel the universe's support in every decision to prioritize your peace, knowing that you are being guided by a force of unconditional and total love. You are a spiritually evolved woman, and your presence is a gift of clarity and self-respect to all who have the honor of knowing you. The healing journey is ongoing, but the foundations you laid today by consciously dealing with disrespect are unshakable and very strong for the future. You learned that your peace is your greatest protection and that your dignity is your most valuable treasure. in your entire earthly and current spiritual existence. Your reconstruction allowed you to see life with new eyes, finding meaning in pain and hope in each new cycle closure and personal rebirth. The spiritual maturity you have achieved is the foundation of an elegant life, where truth and self-respect are the supreme laws that govern your soul. Continue your journey with the confidence of someone who knows that the best of your story is being written now with the colors of light and harmony. You are a spiritually evolved woman, and your silent strength is what will guarantee you a life of total fulfillment, purpose, and profound peace. Your transformation is a sacred work of art, painted with the colors of your courage, your faith, and your immense self-respect and clarity, which you cultivate daily and constantly. Don't rush to the end, for beauty lies in every detail of this rebirth that you are experiencing with such emotional elegance and silent strength. The universe embraces you and recognizes you as an evolved soul who had the audacity to seek the light amidst the dense shadows of others' disrespect. May the peace that surpasses all understanding guard your heart and your thoughts on your new journey of total awareness, inner liberation, and complete self-respect. You are free, you are whole, and you are the living manifestation of Carl Jung's wisdom in action in the challenging and often harsh modern world. Walk with faith, shine intensely, and know that your soul is your best companion, always guiding you towards clarity, truth, and eternal peace.